Hi, A Day on the River. So this is an old book, which I found actually at the thrift shop just only recently, and I just had to scoop it up mainly because there's a map in the beginning, and I am a really big fan of books that have maps included. And in this map, you can see that there's an arrow that points for this river map with a compass rose at the top, and they they're going to travel on this river and to go through an adventure. And if you look at this cover, I was telling the children last week was that this kid is by themselves, himself or herself, and there's no adult to be seen. So that's something that I wanted to note. And the book is published in, let's see if we can find out when it was published. So it's going to be tough, I think. It's printed in Canada. Let's see. Boy, it's got a pretty action-packed fold-out thing. So 1985. Actually, it comes from Stuttgart. So it's originally German. So that's kind of cool, right? So it's not like when you look at the cover, and the Americans are we thinking, oh, that's the Mississippi? No, it's not. So Paul, Bernie, and Thomas are playing hooky today, and this is something I talked to the leaves about what playing hooky means. It means that they have left doing whatever they're supposed to be doing. Maybe they were supposed to be doing chores. Maybe they're supposed to be having school. And no sooner has the day begun than the three boys are off to the river. Thomas rolls their inner tube ahead of him while Bernie carries the paddles. Beside his fishing rod, Paul has a bag of sandwiches, for the boys will be out on the river all day. So now we know that they're going to be gone all day. And there's your heron waiting. So if it were up to the boys, they would spend every day of their lives on the river, and during summer vacations, it seems as if they actually live there. No one knows the river better than these three do. When they speak of it, they sound mysterious. No one else in the world knows about the exciting places and things that are just a few bends farther downstream. There, if you knew where to look, you too would find Puma Island, the jungle, and the sea monster. Shivers run down the boy's spine as they pass by some huge roots and branches that reach up out of the river like claws. Alone, any of the boys would have steered clear of this place, but together they give each other courage. Sometimes when they listen to the ominous swirling of the current here, the sunken tree becomes a huge black beast to them, a sea monster rising from the mysterious depths of the river. Puma Island bulges up out of the river like the long white back of some underwater creature. The high waters leave all sorts of wonderful things washed up on the beaches of the island, and here the boys find the largest and rarest shells and the most beautiful stones. Paul even found a snakeskin once. The boys' tree hut in the leaning tower is a regular treasure trove by now, filled with the loot that they have found on Puma Island. There's some crayfish shells, boot that they found. Muskrat or river otter, since we don't know. I don't think there's muskrats in Europe. We'll have to find out. The bank on the other side of the island, are mucky. Like chocolate pudding, Thomas says. The mud oozes up between his toes, and when he pulls his foot out, it makes a loud sucking noise. How about a mud fight? He calls to Bernie and Paul. In reply, he gets 2 clumps of juicy mud on his hat. Soon, the 3 boys are covered with mud, with only their teeth gleaming white in their laughing faces. So now we kind of know who Thomas is, because Thomas is the one with the hat. I wonder if we can figure out who is the person with the fishing pole. Let's see. Paul has a bag of sandwiches, so Paul is this one. Thomas is this one, so this one must be Bernie. Okay. Did I just do that right? Yeah. After the fight, they do a lot of swimming and diving from a springy willow branch to rinse off. Then, spluttering and blowing, Thomas surfaces with a piece of bent pipe. It's a trumpet, Paul yells. And Bernie asks, where did you find it? There's a funny-looking wild man squatting down there in the roots of the willow. He has all kinds of old stuff. He gave me the trumpet as a present. Now, do you think that's true? Do you think that there is? But look at that. Does that look like a face? So you can pretend like it's a person like we do with the ghost eye tree. But his friends believe him. You're full of baloney, Bernie and Paul say. If you don't believe me, go see for yourselves. They dive and find that Thomas was right. So now all their imaginations are one, and they've decided that this is going to be an old man in the willow branches. And it says on the poster in the back of this book, you can see what it really was that Thomas found in the willow roots. Oh, we're going to find out. Now the boys get into their inner tube again. Softly they paddle, their paddles motionless, hardly making a sound. They drift with the current and glide through a tunnel of shimmering green, but soon they emerge from the jungle, and the iron monster comes into view. It's high time for the boys to think about their duties as boatmen again. This stretch of the river calls for skillful seamanship. Because of each of the boys often acts as his own captain and helmsman, there can be some confusion at times. But in a real pinch, the boys work well together. So I guess you have to get to agree to get through that, under that bridge, or on it. The heavy round heads of the winches hunched down between the broad steel shoulders of the dam like silent, gloomy monsters. The three friends really should stay away from the dam altogether. The yellow sign that says no admittance are everywhere. The yellow signs that say no admittance are everywhere. But the mechanical monsters hold an irresistible attraction for the boys. They'll just take a quick look. Seen up close, the iron monsters aren't nearly so scary. From the winches, with their big interlocking gears, heavy chains hang down into the river. The three friends look longingly at the winches. If we could only work them, says Bernie, but the winches are tightly locked with heavy padlocks. Too bad. So what they want to do is turn those gears, but they're locked tight for safety. Look, the river is laughing, Thomas yells. Below them, the river is rushing through the dam as if someone had turned on 1,000 faucets at once. The river has a face. You see it? It's laughing and roaring and winking at us. Can you? Can you see it? Oh, come off it, Paul answers. Bernie throws a stick into the water. It shoots off like an arrow and soon disappears in the seething foam. He just ate it with his big mouth, Paul shouts. Come on, let's go. I'll get dizzy if I look at this very long. And I'm getting hungry, Thomas says. We should be putting our treasure away in a safe place, too, Bernie urges. Right, Paul agrees. So let's go to the Leaning Tower and build our campfire. Just as they're about to anchor in the harbor near the Leaning Tower, they hear a loud barking from the reeds. Then they see a scruffy little dog coming towards them. The dog may be small, but his bark is so fierce that the boys ready their paddles to fend him off. Darn, where did that dog come from? Is it possible that... The same thought occurs to all the boys at once. They glance up from the yelping dog to their treehouse in the Leaning Tower. They see a small, dirty foot sticking out of the treehouse door. No doubt about it. An intruder has found the boys' secret hiding place and occupied it. Moses! A clear, bright voice calls out. Moses, what's the matter? Then a head of wild, shaggy blonde hair pops out the door. It belongs to a little girl with a face like a sunflower. She sits there, swinging her dirty feet in the air and petting her little dog. That dog's excellent. It can climbed up a tree. He wags his tail happily and is quiet. Hi, I'm Eva. You don't have to be afraid of Moses. He's just keeping a good watch on our house. This is where Moses and I live. Uh-oh. Somebody has moved in to their Leaning Tower house. It takes a while to get things straight, but before too long, Eva understands that the boys are the real owners of the treehouse in the Leaning Tower, and the boys realize that Eva does not mean to spend the night here. Actually, she and Moses had moved in just a couple of hours earlier. For 2 weeks now, she has been living in the same apartment building where Bernie, Paul, and Thomas live. Maybe it's because she has such a pretty sunflower face, or because her feet are so black with dirt. At any rate, the three friends suddenly find they are not angry with her at all anymore. They are becoming friends. What? That's a terrific dog you've got, Bernie says. The sandwiches are a bit soggy after a long hot day on the water, but they still taste wonderful once they've been toasted over the hot fire. So they're toasting their sandwiches. I think that sounds like a good idea. Eva knows how to build and tend a fire as well as the boys do, and before they know it, they have given her 3 shells from their treasure trove. I think now they're really all really good friends. Yeah? Okay. They're all so busy talking, poking the fire, and roasting their sandwiches that no one has noticed how quickly the sun is going down. Hey, it's getting dark, Eva exclaims. I've got to go home. We do too, Bernie, Paul, and Thomas say. They carefully put out their fire with a lot of mud. We'll take you home, the boys all say at once. To Moses' delight, Eva gets a place of honor in the inner tube. They're rolling her along, and Moses is barking, saying, Yay! After a day on the river, they all fall asleep quickly. An owl whisks over the water, and the moon climbs up between the trees. As it shines through our friends' windows, they dream of new adventures on the river, and Moses growls softly in his sleep. I think he's growling because he's like, I want to go back too. So it tells us who this Reinhard, I can't say his last name, was born in 1948 in Lower Bavaria. It says West Germany. And yeah, we have to find the other books that he's written. When you open the poster that he's given you, it goes like this. And can you see the old man? Look how big. Look, they're pretending the thing that was underwater that they saw was the old man holding so many things. And it definitely looks like an old man, doesn't it? And they're swimming deep, deep down, jumping off the willow branch. And the willow branch is holding Thomas's hat. And here's all the animals that they found, that they saw along the way. This is a very interesting book with so much to look at. Oh, wait a minute. We're going to find out what kind of animal that was. Let's find out. It is number 8. Muskrat. It is a muskrat. So there was a muskrat that they saw. And let's see what number 14 is. I'm very interested. Kingfisher. Oh, and then I want to know what this is, because that's one. That is a crayfish and a marsh frog. They saw a lot of animals on their way. So this book is on the shelf because we own it now from the thrift shop. Thank you. The end.